Welcome to Well. I'm your host, Tracy Fredkin, founder of SoCal Moms and the SoCal Wellness Retreat. Join me as I chat with Southern California's leading experts in women's health, family health, nutrition, modern medicine, and the mind-body connection. We'll be vetting new trends, curating practical alternatives for today's busy modern woman to keep herself and her family healthy. Hello, everyone. So delighted that you're joining me again this week for Well. Before we delve into this week's discussion, I want to take a minute and thank our sponsor, Trove CBD. We're excited to partner with them on a series of episodes about managing life, stress, pain, and more. Their amazing body bombs, tinctures, and massage oils are great for pain, inflammation, stress, and help with sleep. Trove is THC-free and triple lab tested. Go to trovecbd.com, and this week our listeners get 20% off with code WELL20 at checkout. That's WELL, all caps, 20 at checkout. This week I invited some moms to weigh in with me and share what's really going on at home and work during this time, because really we're all just trying to keep it real. Today I'm joined by Chudney Ross, author, owner of Books and Cookies, and Chief Kid Officer at the Jane Club, Marissa Gold, founder of Intuit Parenting, Adrianna Costa, producer and host of Local Now LA, entertainment journalist and blogger, Ahyoung Stobar, founder and designer at Joah Love, and one of the first companies to make wearable masks, and Laura Gerson of Nick's Gerson Media and MomAngeles. In this week's episode, we're talking about how we're all managing during COVID-19 safer at home order, or as our kids know it, quarantine, between homeschool, entertaining our kids, cooking, cleaning, keeping up with the news, work, and then all the new restrictions coming out daily. We know it's a lot for all of us, and we're trying to adjust. Obviously, stress and anxiety is at an all-time high, so I feel. And there's every day a good and a bad, at least in our house, right? A moment we have high and low, a moment that feels like everything's going great and it's working, and then a moment when it feels like you can't possibly go on one day longer doing it this way. And so we're talking to you guys today, I think, to give everyone just the opportunity to tell us how you're doing it all or not doing it all. And, you know, we're all doing it different ways, and that's okay. And so we're going to ask you a few questions, and we can't wait to hear what you have to say. So the first thing we're going to start is on a very positive note. What's the number one thing about being home that has been good for your family?
Well, can I chime in? I would say that sixth grade is tough, socially and emotionally. Marissa, I'm sure you can chime in on that one. And for us, having my daughter home during the last few months of the year and really being able to spend this quality time with her without all the social distraction has been amazing, especially for her academic achievements, but also just emotionally. It's been good. And it's kind of been nice.
Yeah, I think that there are actually huge benefits, socially, emotionally speaking. There obviously are also huge ramifications, which I'm sure we'll talk about. But I do think that there are huge benefits to slowing down especially for younger kids who we as a society had gotten so caught up in shuttling 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10-year-olds to multiple activities a week. And we're not doing that now. And I think that that is beneficial. I'm sorry. My phone.
I have a baby at home.
I'm going to unplug it.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I know. How is babyhood going?
It's been good. I mean, it's been a lot to juggle between first grade homeschooling. You know, she needs a lot of support and guidance to keep her on task and juggling the baby. So it's been really special for her to be able to be here during these early times with the baby, and so amazing to get to watch their relationship really grow. But for me, a lot to juggle between, baby care and her, and just trying to be much more relaxed and not feeling like I have to be shuttling her around, even though it's just from the living room to the to the bedroom. But just trying to get everything done, but like at our own pace and really enjoying that time together. The baby is just obsessed with her big sister, and she just walks in the room and she starts laughing. And so it's really special to watch.
It reminds me of, I always say like a quarantine so far has reminded me of the first month, 2 months after you have a baby. It's like we're all in it together now, which it used to feel like such an isolating time to me, being by myself, but now it's sort of like the whole world stopped. So
Chudney, good analogy.
All stopped with you.
Yeah, I like that analogy, Adrianna. That's good.
And funny enough, like I think at the very beginning, it was really hard for my husband and me, specifically because it was so much in each other's space. And ironically, you hear these people going like, I want to kill my spouse. And don't get me wrong, because there are those days, but there's been this bond that's formed a little bit more with us. I think he likes that I'm home more often, even though I'm working out of the house. He can kind of see what I'm doing and almost appreciates what I do more because he sees how involved I am with the kids, right? So he's like, oh, really? Like she's preparing dinner and she still has done, work with them and work. So in a way, like being in their space, they get it more. They get the way we can multitask as women. And let's face it, we do a much better job of that than the men.
Yeah. So it's a good point. Like, what are you prioritizing on a daily basis at home to sort of to keep your sanity while you're managing all of these different things? And how are you allocating responsibilities, right? We all have taken on a lot more, I think, in a lot of our homes. But our husbands are home and around and everybody's there. So it's like a whole new way and system for doing things in our houses too.
For me, this is Ahyoung. I actually haven't been home, and I've been working this whole time through. And my husband's also working. My husband works from home because he has a remote office, but I have not stopped working. So I can't relate. I just know that my son is at home having the best time ever because he doesn't have to go to kindergarten. And so he's, like my husband's trying to manage his school schedule, and I've just been working every day. So it's hard to like say bye when I know he's kind of on this vacation. But for me, I've just been working this whole time.
Wait, Ahyoung, I got to know about that. So this is so interesting with your husband managing the household while you're at the office. I mean, how's he do it? How's he managing? Like, what's it for him?
It's hilarious. It's hilarious because he's still busy working at home. And then I had him handle like the school Zoom meetings and this thing called Acellus. And I thought everything was going fine because my son is like, he's very responsible and he's like that kid who always wants to get 100%, and he has been. And all of a sudden I got a text from the teacher saying, hey, do you guys need any help with some of the work? Because I didn't see Cameron upload into his portfolio. And I'm just wondering if you guys need help. So then we called her and she was like, well, I was like, what portfolio are you talking about? And we didn't know, like my husband had no idea. I was like, did you know about this portfolio? He's like, no, I had no idea. So I was like, oh, okay. So we just haven't been doing any of this work, this other part of, but luckily we were only like 2 weeks into it at that point. And the teacher was like, I knew there's something up because there's, maybe like other parents, but I wouldn't have expected you guys to just ignore any of this work. So she kind of put us back on the right track. And now he's on track, but I had no idea. So he's doing the best he can and kind of helping to manage all of the Zoom meetings. And let's face it, like I'm not there. He's working. The kid is on his devices. He is watching a lot of TV. I'm not going to lie and say he's just like on this strict schedule. He's not. He's having a very fun vacation right now, doing whatever he wants.
Well, it's a good segue into homeschool. How's everybody doing with homeschool? And yeah, what are your kids doing? My kid does like 2 hours of homeschool and then calls it a day for the most part.
I think the interesting thing about this question is that it's really contingent on different factors in different homes, right? Like it totally depends on the age of your kids. It depends on whether they're intrinsically motivated or not. depends what their personality was like before the pandemic. If they were a kid who liked doing homework versus didn't. It depends on how boys versus girls. It depends public versus private. I've had this conversation probably, no joke, not exaggerating, 150 times. And I feel like I've had almost 150 different responses to how homeschooling is going in everyone's home. And I also think it's totally changed from the beginning to where we're at now. I think that some schools have done an incredible job of pivoting very quickly and getting up online. And other schools are today having a hard time figuring out how to make it functional for their kids. And so personally,
I 100% agree with you.
Yeah.
Such a good point.
Yeah. And I think it's unfortunate also for our kids, because this is probably a totally different conversation, but I think that there's going to be huge disparities over the long term in educational achievement that we as parents are not even in control of. Right. And that's something that I'm really concerned about. Personally, just to answer your question, homeschool in my house has been really great, but I have 2 girls that are 11 and 14. They're highly motivated. They were great students before this. I was never the parent that had to nag them. They always got their stuff done. They're pretty independent kids. They're pretty social kids. And so for them, the transition has actually been okay. And their schools, they are both in schools that pivoted very quickly and got on the bandwagon very quickly and figured out how to do it. And they are engaged in anywhere from 3 to 5 hours of lessons with teachers every day. But I'm hearing that is not the norm. I'm hearing that is totally.
Let's all go there.
Yeah.
Yeah. And honestly, I have to say, it's allowed me to do my stuff, right? Right. A question about how do I function and get my stuff done? Well, I do my stuff when they're doing their stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's not exactly how it goes down here. It's 5 minutes stolen here, 3 minutes stolen there, a lot of head spinning. And then it's somebody emailed this morning and said so are we going to do that walk Friday? I was like, what? That's the last thing. And furthermore, when I want to walk, I actually want to walk by myself at this point. I feel like I want to just detox from everyone and everything.
Totally agree.
Talking to a friend who his days are completely empty because he had a small business that he owned and he's not working at the moment. So it's go take a run on the beach, chill out, read a book, watch a movie, whatever, cook, make lunch. And for women like us, I think it's just, we're double and triple the workload. So the days are maximized, but also it's it's a lot of, there's no focus really. It feels like I'm here, there, and trying to do it all and being successful at times, but being okay also with a lot falling through the cracks. Yesterday, I got my period. I was so tired. I just sat, I laid there and I couldn't get anything done. And I felt like a piece of crap at the end of the day. I did nothing. The kids didn't do school. I didn't work, but those days happen.
I think that's okay.
It's been such a long time that we've been here. It's I am sort of at the end of my rope.
Yeah. Definitely. I think you get to the point where you have to say, there are some things I'm just not going to worry about every day, right? In your old life, you had a schedule and all these things happened and you felt like you were going to get stuff done in a certain way. But now I think you have to give into the fact that a lot of times it's just not humanly possible to do everything on a daily basis.
Sink full of dirty dishes would be an unforgivable thing in my house in the past. And now daily.
And I think managing expectations is a huge part of this, lowering our expectations and managing ours and our children's expectations is a huge part of this. And I think it plays into the social emotional piece of this.
Yeah. Well, that's a good point.
That day is if you have a day where you get nothing done, that's okay. That's totally fine. There have been days where even with my kids who are so motivated where they've said to me, I don't want to do my math homework or I don't want to do any homework. I'm going outside and I'm fine, do it. I'm not going to argue with you. Go do it.
Mm-hmm. And the social component is so massive in this because I know you said there are a lot of benefits and not to be Debbie Downer here, but the drawbacks are happening across the board, not just with the kids, with us as well. Mm-hmm. I had 2 women over yesterday for a socially distant wine date or whatever. And the one mom who's usually got it totally together, and we're usually on the same page, came in like a shitstorm. Are we even allowed to cuss here? I don't even know.
I already checked. Yes.
So you're fine. Be yourself.
I hate I hate Trump. I can't believe what's happening. And it was like 30 minutes of just ranting. And it's not her. It's the circumstance she's in. And she's so stressed and so over it. Mm-hmm. And then on the other hand, like Gibson had a socially distant play date the other day, which doesn't work. It was a drive-by for the birthdays. And then you go, I mean, my kid's almost 6, you know? And Marissa, you know, he is not a shy child at all. In fact, he's a leader and like one of the most extroverted. He couldn't speak to his friends. He was like a mute. Yeah. It was unbelievable how times have changed. So on one hand, I just want to say something that like, when they come out and say like 3 months in your house, I understand that we have to weigh the odds of like keeping people healthy and stuff, but at some point we got to slowly start opening.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's what I think is so, I mean, that's what sits with me always the heaviest is like the social component and like the emotional component for our kids. You know, at some point it just feels very hard for some of them. I think like I see with my son, a completely different version of him that like is a version I don't even really know. And his enjoyment for things even like school have really gone away in this format. I also just think it is very personal to your family and your kids and like trying to make it as safe and as great for them as you can. But I think at some point you have to accept that like it's not what they need maybe right now anymore. Right.
And I think long-term, this is going to change personalities and social emotion. I mean, I think this will have long-term effects. You know, there have been studies in the past of when there have been things like this that have happened and the repercussions it has had on adults and children. And I don't think we're going to come out of this unscathed. We will for sure be different as adults, and our children will absolutely be different in how they are socially, how they are in school, how they handle the news, all of it across the board.
And also with the baby, I've already see it with her. I can't leave the room. You know, she's 7 months yesterday. And so we were out of the house. And she was very easy with other people. And my first daughter was also super easy with family nannies or whatever. And so different with this baby. I know all different babies are different, but so different from being with me and constantly at home. Just for me to be able to step away to do something like this or to lead story time is very hard on her, to be with her dad even, or, you know, just for me not to be in the room. And that's going to be very challenging to transition back to the real world.
I agree. The transition back will be really hard.
It's amazing what kids pick up on too, because my son is 6, so he's not scared of anything. He's just having a great life. And my parents got kind of stuck here. They were visiting here since Thanksgiving, and they kind of just like stayed, and then they got stuck here because they're from Washington State, and they didn't want to go back because at the time it was like worse there. Mm-hmm. So my mom, as a joke, asked my son, "Hey, you want to come back with us when we go back to Seattle?" And my son was like, "No, because there's going to be a second wave of the coronavirus in the fall, and I hear it's going to be more dangerous over there, so I'll just stay here." And it's like, where did you catch this news? You know, he just overhears us saying this stuff. It's amazing.
It's fascinating.
One of my questions I wanted to ask is sort of in talking about this, how are you thinking about transitioning out of your house? Like if camp is available, if you can go out this summer, how are you thinking about doing that and feeling about that and how making that feel for your kids?
I'm having a lot of feelings about that right now. I think I tend to be a really positive person and can always find the silver lining, and have really been surprisingly okay through most of this. I mean, focusing on the baby and the homeschooling keeps you busy, but we always look forward to our summers and the travel that we do. And little by little, we're canceling all of those. And it's really heartbreaking. And you want to be able to still do them and say you can do them, but you also, there's so much unknown that it's really hard to move forward and go for it. I know my husband will be going back to work soon, and I have so many feelings about him going from medical office to medical office. It's like the worst field to be in right now. But eventually we do have to get out and get back to some sort of semblance of the real life, even if the majority of our time is still spent at home. When we can do that, we have to get out and trust that we're all going to, take all the safety precautions that we can. I know that's hard with my older daughter is 7, to think that if she can go to camp, would I send her? I probably would. And I would like to try to do some travel if we can, even if it's by car. I know personally for my sanity, I need a change of scenery, and I would love to be able to spend time with my family, even if I have to wear a mask and things, but trying to figure out how we can bring some of that joy back from the summer, because this has been hard and it can't go on like this forever. So we have to figure out how we can change the way we do.
Yeah. Is anybody thinking about hotels? We've been talking about renting an RV and taking like a road trip and just having our own food with us. And that way we have our own bathroom. Cause I just read something recently about coronavirus and public bathrooms that just like, threw another loop in this whole thing. So that's one of the things we've been talking about too, is, obviously all of our summer plans have gone to the wayside. So how do we create those moments for our kids? I don't know. I'm curious, what's everybody else thinking? I mean, we've been checking out the RVs. Are you guys checking out the RVs? I'm sure there's going to be a run on RVs.
There's these like sprinter vans that 5 people can sleep in comfortably. But my girlfriend just did it, and they drove with 2 children under the age of 5 and the husband and wife to Colorado.
Wow.
And they did this a couple days ago. It took them 2 days to get there. They stopped in Utah and New Mexico, whatever. They ate like Hot Pockets. And by the way, this is like a fancy group of people, but they roughed it, if you want to say, and they said they had the best time. It was so great. It was so fun. It's more affordable because you're not paying for hotels, and it's different. Yeah. It's like you're camping, but you're camping,
with
in some sort of shelter.
Are the hotels and resorts even open right now? I was just thinking about that this weekend. Like, I was thinking about food, and we're like, who's open and what are the people eating who are traveling? And I'm like, are the hotels even open? Do you guys know if they're open?
Yes,
some
are.
Yeah. But also one of the things that we were thinking about, which I don't know that we're going to do, we're probably, if anything, we'll do an RV, but we were also thinking about renting a home somewhere for 4 to 6 weeks. And I have friends that have done that have decided they're going to Colorado, Idaho, Northern California. They have put in for Airbnbs or VRBOs and are renting homes for a 6 to 8 week period.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's the other thing. If you can get somewhere and then stay, then that's better than you're not gonna be able to run around as much.
And the question is where are we going? I mean, we're in Southern California where the sun is shining bright. Many of us are lucky enough to be near the beach or have pools or some form of water.
Yeah.
I trust the representatives here to just keep us safe as they can. We all seem fairly aligned with viewpoints. It's I don't know, where are we going?
Yeah.
Adrianna,
That's what
I feel you. I totally agree with that.
I want to save money anyway. So am I spending it traveling, or am I just, but again, trust me, I need a change of scenery too. I'm going nuts.
You can come to my house and we can do a socially distanced pool date in the backyard.
Let's do the swap. Okay.
Totally.
And a house swap.
Totally.
We've been looking at Airbnbs as well, but trying to do something different, up in the mountains or, by a lake. But yeah, we're very lucky to have a backyard and a pool and the weather. It's been amazing. So I agree. We don't need to go too far.
Right.
But just sort of.
Are you guys all experiencing this too? I mean, with no cars on the road, isn't it unbelievable how blue and clear our skies are? I can't stop marveling about it. And I keep thinking about how when all the cars and the traffic in LA begin again, it's gonna, it'll be kind of crushing because all of a sudden, I can actually see the stars at night from my backyard. We live by the water and we can actually see all the way to Catalina every day. It's unheard of.
Mm.
And, I just keep thinking about the clarity of the air and how great it is for all of us right now, health-wise. And then I'm thinking, what's going to happen when we all try to return to normal, whatever normal is going to be.
Well, I think that's another nice thing about the communities. I feel in our community now, there are so many less cars. The kids can be out in the street riding their bikes and scootering and doing things that we never would have been able to do before. It actually feels more neighborly, even though we have to stay away from each other, but people are outside their houses. It just feels calmer, safer in other weird ways. which we do really, I feel like that's like such an amazing thing that never happens in LA for the most part.
It's like a return to the 50s.
Yeah,
In
that's
so
what
many
I've
ways, and not good for feminism. I will say that, but that's a whole other conversation.
No, it is not. And that's like my whole theory behind it, is that the reason we're getting along better is because I guess biologically or physiologically or whatever the word would be, my husband like wants to see me in the kitchen cooking, and like he's out hunting and gathering and
that's horrible.
and I'm like full on barefoot with like some dress on, like taking care of the kids. And you know, like my work has changed because we're not shooting in the field anymore. Yeah, I'm doing stuff here, but like I think that men are comfortable seeing their women like that at the core, and they like it.
Yeah.
You know what though? I will say Ahyoung is the opposite. She's the testament to what is happening out there in the workforce, and the women who are going to work and are working, and in fact, while your husband's home on the home front. That's kind of interesting too, because Adrianna, I'm in the same boat with you, but I'm really.
I know. Well, and Laura and I talk about this all the time. How it's like spooky and so weird to think that you're this like housewife. That it's just very odd, like a weird reversal. Since most of us were working. Yeah.
Luckily, I have my parents here, and my mom is like a personal chef for us. So she will make breakfast, lunch for the family. She'll be like, call me when you're leaving your office, and she'll have dinner ready for me. So it's been like that for this whole entire time, literally since December. So I'm actually lucky. I'm usually busy anyway. So, but I got busier crazily. And my husband's work just didn't change at all. So he's the same exact, level of busy as he was before this. He just has now Cameron, my son, to take care of as well, in between his, digital time, like when he's actually doing some schoolwork. He's handling that.
And we heard you had a broken arm in your house too.
Oh my gosh, that was the worst.
Did you go to the doctor, and how was it?
We had to go to the ER, and they have a one-parent policy right now because of COVID. And so I've been getting home late. So my husband was like, oh, we've been taking walks every night and meeting new neighbors and stuff. So I was like, oh, let's go for a walk. So my son, who I think he just wanted to see me doing something with him outside. He's like, please. So I was like, okay, it's like 10:30 at night. Bad decision, right? So we're like, let's go on a walk, and all of a sudden my husband and Cameron comes out with like a full-on helmet and a scooter, and he doesn't know how to scooter. Like, this is very new to him. We're walking, and out of nowhere, we're like right at the hill, like there's like a steep hill down to a cul-de-sac. And Cameron goes, ready, set, go, and they start racing down the hill, and he's weaving. I'm like, wait a minute, I didn't know he was this good on the scooter. And I'm just walking from behind, like, what's about to happen? He bites it. I ran over, and he's like, I'm okay. He's crying. And then I saw his arm. It was like a 30-degree. Oh God. Like the bone was like this, popping out of his radius. So I was so upset. I was like, why would you race him down a hill? I'm just like blaming my husband, of course, like at that moment, because I'm so freaked out. So now we're like, we have to go to the ER. We were there till like 3 a.m. and they had to sedate him and pop his bone back, and it was horrible. Horrible. God. Last place you want to be in. And the saddest thing, when he was coming out of his sedation, because he was awake the whole time, it was like a zombie, just like and the doctor just like set his arm. He was coming to, he was crying, he was like freaking out. And he goes, Mama, he goes, am I dead? He goes, did I die?
Oh my God.
And I was like, no, honey, I'm like right here. It was so sad. I was horrified.
Did they give him, this is just odd, but did they give him ketamine to sedate him?
No,
because
is that what it is? Is
I'm
when they're awake?
Far from, but yes, they sedate him with that. And my daughter had it too. And it was at Children's Hospital. They did. It's scary to see, like their eyes are all out. And
they're weird. Awake, but it's like looking at a heroin addict, like, and he's just like, and then there's like 8 people in the room. They were like, do you want to sit back there? And I'm sitting there, and out of nowhere, and he just like looking around, just totally awake. And the surgeon just goes, pop, and I heard it. I was like, ah, screaming. And then literally like within 10 minutes, he starts coming to. And the first thing he asks is like, did I die? And it's heartbreak. Heartbreak.
I banned all obstacle courses and crazy equipment that my husband wanted to buy when this started. I was like, hell no. I know we're just going to find ourselves in the emergency room. I'm not doing it. He has enough toys.
Yeah.
Definitely not. Yeah. That's like a big one as they start to get wild at home. Well, we want to talk about masks too, you guys. And I know that we all have different perspectives probably, or we got them in different places, but does everyone have masks now that they are wearing everywhere? And how do your kids feel about it? And we should mention, Ahyoung, your company was one of the first to make masks. Is that?
Yeah. We pivoted like a month ago. I mean, actually, no, 2 months ago, mid-March, because this is before anybody started talking about cloth masks. But I'm Korean, so I see the news, what's happening in South Korea. And for my culture, it's customary. Like, you wear masks if you have a cold. Little kids wear masks when you have a cold because you don't want to get the other kids sick. So it's very customary in my culture, and it's worn out of courtesy, not out of fear for my own life. So when this happened here, I was like, this is when people were hoarding, like they're panic buying all the surgical masks and causing shortages in the medical industry. So I was like, my husband was like, why don't you make some masks? Because we can't even find a decent one. I don't want to walk around with a surgical mask because it just makes me look sick. And at the same time, a lot of Asian Americans were being attacked, like racially attacked because of China. And I didn't like that at all. So I thought when this all happened, all of my wholesale accounts, a lot of them weren't paying. I actually thought like I had to close my business of 12 years. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to make these masks. And because I have fabric in my warehouse, I'm just going to do it. And it took off. And at the time I was trying to help. I wanted to provide masks for the city, for the LA Transit, and like anybody I could provide them to. And they didn't want that at the time. They were like, oh, we only need the N95s. And they had a very different perspective at the time. I was trying to get a hold of the mayor's office, Kaiser, like so many different organizations. I was like, I'll donate them to you. Just help me get the word out. Because at the time it was like, I had like 2 employees at the time. And it was literally like, either I just close everything and let people go right now and see what happens, or I react and I pivot my company and do something about it. And that's what I did. And literally within 2 weeks, the mayor announced LA Protects project asking for the fashion industry to make masks for the city. And I was literally like a crazy mask lady, like, I've been asking you who wants a mask. I wanted to donate. Nobody wanted them. And I got a lot of shit. I'm sorry. I got a lot of shit from Instagram, from people who were like, why are you selling cloth masks? They were pissed. They're like, you're trying to, profit off of a pandemic. And I got a lot of hate from a lot of trolls. And I was very hurt by it because I'm like, I'm just trying to keep my employees employed. And, I'm just trying to survive and trying to also help people by providing an alternative. Hold on, you guys. Sorry. So I'm just trying to provide an alternative because I know the cloth masks work. All it does is basically stop you from spitting at somebody else, like when you talk, those little droplets. But people took it wrong in the very beginning, and I was very hurt by it. But whatever, there's like 5 trolls, and I got over it. But
well, Ahyoung,
for me,
I am so glad you're doing it because we've been reading that 71% of the particles are actually blocked by the cloth barriers, right?
Absolutely.
So it actually it's not serving as some level of protection.
Yes, and I would not suggest like you shouldn't be a doctor wearing this in the hospitals. No, you're not. If you're facing the sick, don't wear it. You should be wearing the medical masks, the N95s. This is for us going to Trader Joe's, taking your dog for, when I wear a mask, I'm wearing it for you. When you wear it, you're wearing it for me. That's how it is in back in my culture in Korea. We're not doing it for, oh, I'm going to protect myself from you. Like, it's not about that. It's about me protecting the other people, because as I'm talking right now, I'm spraying little droplets in the air, and that's what goes into your ears, your mouth, your eyes. That's what it's about. So
yeah,
luckily
on walks, I don't wear them. I
you don't need to. You're not
exactly.
around anyone,
But I do
right?
see, like, I'll get like evil eyes sometimes from people, just like, but I always avoid.
Why aren't you?
It's like a game of chicken. Like, somebody will be coming up the street, I'll be coming down, and I'll, usually like 90% of the time be the one to avoid. But I did this whole thing on Instagram about it, because it's like, who should be the avoider or the avoided? And it's like, it's so simple. It's like, kids need to be avoided. If you're like encumbered with a stroller or dogs or whatever, or you're like huffing and puffing uphill, like whomever is less encumbered should be the one to avoid.
Yeah.
The avoider. It's like as simple as that. But common sense doesn't always.
I think early on, people didn't know, like, we didn't know, is it airborne? How do you contract it? We didn't know anything about, like, we didn't know as much about it as we know today, right? So back then, when the CDC was like, nobody, people shouldn't be wearing masks, they were just concerned about the surgical masks being,
taken, of course,
hoarded.
Yeah.
But they should have said, well, just put some sort of covering, handkerchief, whatever it is, so you're not unknowingly spreading something that you don't even know you have to somebody else. I think, and then obviously, like, very, I guess, like, within a few weeks from that point, they changed their messaging, and now, like, everybody has to wear masks. But like, for me, I got busier because of that.
And yesterday, Garcetti came out and said that if you leave your home, all Angelenos are supposed to be in masks for anything. So
really,
that was yesterday's announcement.
Did he clarify that? Is that the case if you're in your neighborhood, if you're not coming across people?
He said if you're outside your house, you need to wear a mask.
Yep, as of yesterday in LA. But, I think that, like, that's one of the reasons why there were fewer cases in some of the Asian countries, because they knew from previous experiences, and because it's cultural, like you were saying, Ahyoung, that really does stop the spread. And so
yeah,
I think that's one of the reasons why Garcetti came out and did that, because if he's really trying to open up LA, which seemingly they are trying to do slowly, we also need to be responsible and be wearing masks or face
some
covering.
sort of a covering. Yeah.
There's a huge education component to what's going on, because there's so many mixed messages, I think, that people just don't understand. Like I just said, I didn't know that that's what he meant by the order. I mean, there's so many mixed messages happening that it's hard to get people on the same page, feeling positive about a solution. Don't really understand even what the point of what they're being told is, or if it's being enforced, or how it's being enforced. And so I think it's really hard for people, and we need to have more understanding and sort of more time for everyone to wrap their minds around.
I think also
how and why. Yeah.
And I think what you're speaking to, Tracy, is also all of the unknowns that change every day. Like, unknowns are challenging to begin with. We don't have an end date to this. Like, I think if someone could come out and say definitively on October 1st, you will all be out, right? But because we don't have that, we don't know when this will end. And then there are so many unknowns. And then every day there is something that changes, whether it's information that comes out or a loss that we, like Chudney, you were saying you have to cancel a vacation, or my kid's summer camp got canceled today. And so I think that every day we are experiencing unknowns and changes. And I think that, these are the ramifications of the social emotional piece of this that we're talking about. Right. But I think that, it's really, to your point, Tracy, I think it's highly problematic that things change so greatly every day for kids and adults alike.
Yeah. I was just hearing this morning in my drive that they're seeing a lot of effect, like, was it Kawasaki disease showing up in kids who, in children who were found positive for the antivirus.
Yeah.
Right. Who were tested. So they once had it, we didn't know they had it, and now they're
Right.
you're finding that they have all these symptoms. That's scary. Like it is a novel virus, which means we don't know anything about this. We're all learning day by day. And, I think the most important thing is to like, stop blaming the government, stop blaming anybody. It's just, we're all learning and trying to do the best we can. Because I see a lot of angry people blaming this side or that side, getting very political. Let's stop all that. Like, nobody really knows. And everybody's just trying to do the best that they can to guide us, in a direction where it might be safer in the long run for most of us, right?
Yeah, I think that's a very good note probably to end on as we get close to our time together is that positive message, right? Of a lot of us have been volunteering, which we didn't get to talk about, but I know like Adrianna has, like we've all been trying to find positive ways to contribute. And I think that's one of the things, if we can all help be voices of reason, figure out ways we can contribute in our communities and educate ourselves and just try and learn and have patience with the situation, that's the best thing we can all be doing right now versus judging each other and thinking we know the answer when obviously if someone knew the answer, we would have heard it by now, we would hope, right? Right? That's the bottom line. But we really appreciate everybody's time today and your perspectives. And if there are any ways we can support you in the projects that I know a lot of us are all working on in the community and elsewhere, we want to do that. And we hope everyone stays safe and healthy and gets some joy back this summer for sure.
This was so great, everybody. Thank you. Thanks, Tracy, for having us.
Thank you, Tracy.
Yeah, thanks.
Stay healthy, everybody.
Stay safe and healthy, everyone.
Bye.
Stay healthy. It was such fun to have our mom friends chime in today and share their experiences. We'll be chatting with health and wellness experts in the coming weeks to gain specific information about managing our family's health. We hope you'll keep listening with us. Once again, we'd like to thank Trove CBD for sponsoring this episode. You can learn more about them on SoCal Moms Instagram feed or at socalmoms.com. Go to trovecbd.com and use code WELL20, that's all caps, WELL 20 at checkout for 20% off. Be sure to subscribe to our show on iTunes and other podcast streaming platforms. You can also watch the video from this podcast on socalmoms.com. Sign up for our emails and follow us at SoCal Moms on Facebook and Instagram. We welcome your comments and feedback. Until next week, I'm Tracy Fredkin.